quick. So today we're trying to do Mystic. I have no idea how to play Mystic myself, so that's why I'm bringing in Trini here. Trini, in the past, has been top 3 on leaderboards with Mystic and stuff, so he knows a thing or two. Not today's not his golden days, but he's been good in the past. He's good enough to teach us how to play, because I don't know shit. So Trini's gonna guide us here. So normally what I do first is normally I do build, then glyphs, then stigmas, and then I talk about the actual skills. So I'm letting you lead this one.
Alright, yeah, so you introduced me by insulting me first, like, okay, alright, it's nice. Mystics and priests are pretty much the exact same outside of a few key differences in their play style. Build-wise, you can build them pretty much the same. All crit accessories. Far as your weapon is concerned, you're gonna put the same dyad crystals, Neviate crystals as you would on your priest. Same thing for your chest piece. You'd pretty much roll the exact same thing on your weapon, double CDR. I don't think you need the extra crit flying on your weapon. For me personally, I use attack speed because more attack speed equals faster cast speed of your skills. And I'm a player that plays with just under average BR ping. Most BR players play around 200-ish, if not between 200 and 300. I'm like bordering that line, 140 to 160. And
what do you run for your top roll on your chest piece?
Teleport jaunt. It's the best thing you could have there. Like,
okay. I know some classes are kind of weird there with that top roll.
Yeah, well, that top roll is just teleport jaunt. Like, there's no other skill that's more useful than that as a mystic. Like, unlike priests, mystics, they're never in combat when they buff and debuff the boss. Priests are always in combat. Like, their movement speed is just like fucking jacked. But mystics can walk out of mechanics where a priest might have to backstep or fiery escape. And because teleport jaunt goes a decent distance, you want to get the cooldown on that as low as possible. And with stigmas and stuff, you could get it to pretty close to 2 seconds, if not 2. I'm not fully endgame mystic, so I can't say if you could get it to 2 seconds. But I think having too much CDR after a point in time is gonna be like what's the point in having that much CDR? Like, you're just gonna be there spamming your trolls and not doing nothing. You're not engaging in the dungeon. You're just like a boss bot, an actual boss bot.
So stigma wise, what would you say? 4, maybe 5 soul stigmas, and then 2 to 3 attack?
It's personal preference. You only really want to build CDR up to a point where you have 0 downtime on your Troll of Vengeance and your Troll of Wrath. Yeah, that's about it. Once you hit that threshold of having 0 downtime, like, you could put whatever stigmas you want. But rolling CDR lines on soul stigmas are actual cancer, right? I don't know if I could say that word, but it's really, really bad. Like, my mystic is rolled with, I have 1 double CDR stigma, which is 1.41%, but I try to get the 1.4% line if I can't get double CDR. So most of my other stigmas, if not all of them, are just 1 line of 1.4 CDR. And my teleport jaunt is like, it starts at 3 seconds, but it immediately goes on 2 seconds. So it's like about 2 point something seconds. And you can use that and then use it right again, like almost immediately. For example, in RKE, when you do the S-bomb mechanic, and you have to dodge the cross bomb that targets the healers because you're out of range and you're not actually doing the mechanic as intended. You could teleport jaunt out of it, and I've heard in some cases you could teleport jaunt almost immediately, but that's with some ridiculous CDR. But that's just one example. In AHM, it's the same thing. You could teleport jaunt on the last boss outside of the rings, and it will come back in time for you to use it again to to dodge again. Like if the boss targets you with the laser, not having the use of your mass teleport jaunt.
Yeah. So, what about glyphs?
Uh, Glyphs. Some things will be standard, and other things you will want to remove and add in based on the dungeon and based on the type of tanks and DPS you have. Like I started playing with a certain tank on the server. He runs through so much mana, it's actually insane. I even have a hard time keeping up with him on a priest, and we keep telling this mother effer to buy a mana pet because it's outrageous. So in his scenario, I explode the motes, which give you mana. I use the Thrall of Life off of cooldown to give him mana, and I glyphed my corruption ring to give me more mana, and it's still not enough for his ass. So like that's an example of optimizing your glyph settings for your party's needs. But more often than not, you're gonna glyph your Titanic Favor for the increased HP recovery by 20%.
Yep.
Your resurrection glyphs are pretty much the same thing as a priest, except for the mana cost. You're gonna want to put hastened, hearty, and energetic. I don't have any glyph points into the motes, I believe. Your vow of rebirth, the same thing. You want that extra free res on your tank or a specific DPS you prioritize in a speedrun. If your tank is like unkillable. The last two, energetic vow of rebirth reduces the cooldown, like same thing. Auras don't have any glyph points in that. Your teleport jaunt, like I said, that skill is like MVP on a mystic. It's pretty much why you see the leaderboard with RKE having like 30 plus mystics, even though the leaderboard goes up to 20, because this class is brain dead stupid in that dungeon, and priest kind of suck dodging crossbomb. So, and teleport jaunt is like a broken skill in that dungeon. Everybody made a pocket mystic just because of that reason. And yes, I'm calling out all the people who main priest. What else? What's it? This skill, Arun's Vitae or Vita, however you want to pronounce it. I glyphed that one for the additional 20% HP recovery. That's situational. I personally like it. You can use it if you choose to. You can put that 2 points elsewhere, right? It's based on your own personal needs. I don't glyph the mana orb, right? Like, ever. It's not really. That's just literally there to explode like an extra body. Going down, Volley of Curses, you want that glyph for the debuff on the boss, the Endurance Shred.
Yep.
Thrall of Protection, you'd want the first one. Energetic Thrall reduces the cooldown by 10%. This is very key. And increases the endurance of all group members by 10% for 10 minutes, first and last glyphs. Thrall of Protection is very useful. I'll come back to that in a second. Thrall of Life. I've glyphed the cooldown and I've glyphed the duration. The 20% chance to eliminate the cooldown is nice, but when you build enough CDR, you're going to get this skill back quite reliably every time you need it.
Yeah, and
so
that's
putting
what I was
5
about to
points
say
into
is it's not reliable because it's just a chance.
Yeah, if it was something like a 75 to 80% chance, it would definitely be useful, like for sure. The Sonora's, what is it? Sonora's Blessing? I think this is the Sleep, Sonora's Dream. This is useful. You can glyph this. Like, this was a must glyph skill back when Bahar was around. You'd use this to sleep the Skellies. I don't really see a point to glyph it anymore. The only thing you sleep nowadays is the Priest, the little mini ads that pop up for you to get the key to go and kill the mini boss in CS and CSH. You want to sleep the opposite color you're killing so it doesn't interfere with you actually.
Yeah, and that's way down the line. So, like, generally speaking, you don't need this right now. But keep it in mind.
Yeah. Regression, you don't need no points in that at all. You're generally ever gonna like dispel any buffs a boss has once to 2 times in a fight, depending on how your group composition is and how the damage is working. Every other skill, like Confusion, Curse of Confusion, Mire, these are PvP stuff. I've never really tried PvP on a Mystic. And PvP is like a mythical thing on Tera at this point. Thrall of Vengeance, I glyphed the very last one for the duration. Thrall of Wrath, I glyph the cooldown as well. Some people will glyph the speed casting, some will put it in the damage. It's entirely up to you. In my mind, how I play my Mystic, I want to have these buffs up at all times, and I want to keep my group satisfied, automatically cleansing them, healing them where they need be. So my damage is pretty much negligent. That's the way I look at it. Anything extra I can provide will be nice, but nobody score runs. There isn't like a lot of team score running in the game, so there's no need to be sweaty at that point. So the cooldown is just fine for me. Warding Totem, I put the increased recovery as well on that. Contagion. This skill is kind of what makes a Mystic a Mystic, and what pushes it over the edge over a Priest in some, if not most, scenarios. But the thing about this skill is it does not always make contact with the boss. I don't know if that is a design flaw, if that was intended. It puts another debuff on top of your already debuff that you put on the boss, and this causes DPS output to like go through the roof whenever it decides to stick on a boss. So I glyph this for the increased duration. It's additional damage for your group. Like, why would you not put 4 points into it? The Boomerang Pulse, I put it on the last one for the cooldown. This skill actually takes a little bit of skill to utilize in a group because everybody's moving around, but it's a skill that you can cast and forget about. And if you know how to manipulate angles, you could throw it at someone and then teleport John to someone else and have it come back to you and heal 2 people like that. So it makes for an interesting scenario you could do. I've even healed myself with this one time already, so you could play around with that. Yeah. And I think that's it.
Yeah, there's not much left after that. Did you have anything on Corruption Ring? I didn't really hear you talk about that one.
Corruption Ring, yes. I have the first one for the mana replenishment, but I don't always have this slotted. It excuse me. It depends on the Lancer, the Sork, and sometimes the Gunner. Those classes, when they're played optimally, like, they will always be in need of mana, so you might want to slot that in. But the one I always have in is reduced damage taken by 50% while casting. You can kind of think of this as a Kaya shield, but you're permanently rooted to the ground. You can't move anywhere.
Does it work for other people? I thought this just worked for you.
It works for me. It works for me. You're going to need this skill. It comes in clutch in many different scenarios.
Yeah, well, like, I know like you as the healer need it, but the way you just worded that, does it reduce damage for other people or just you?
Just you. Just you.
Okay, that's what I thought.
You have 2 other skills that does damage mitigation for the group, which is your Warding Totem and your Thrall of Protection. And you can't cast both of them back to back. Like, you can't stack the buffs. One cancels the other out.
Oh yeah, I see. Warding Totem takes priority.
Yeah. Unlike the Priest, you could stack crapload of mitigation, Caius, Holy Burst, and then you could friggin' use your Divine Charge as well. Like, it, yeah. But what makes Mystic powerful, and I only realized this a few weeks ago, is when you explode the motes, it has a 3-second buffer window. In that you will take damage, but you're still actually experiencing the heal of the mote exploding. I don't know if that's the correct way to say it or not. So in essence, if you get hit a couple times and the mote explodes, it will look like your character takes no damage. But what I think happens is you're still being healed for that huge amount of health for that duration of time. And then after the 3 seconds passes, you'll see your health going down. It's more visible on the first boss in RKE when they shoot the rockets up and you explode the motes. You can see that effect for
It says you obviously don't get a very big window to read it, but it says recovers 390 HP every second, stacks up to 2 times.
Yeah.
For that 3-second window.
Yeah, it's very useful. Like, it's very useful. Stuff that could potentially one-shot a DPS. If you explode the motes in time, you could save them. RMHM? RMHM. I think when the first boss jumps back and he jumps forward and somebody gets stunned, like if you're unfortunate enough to be a Lancer, and he decides then to play whack-a-mole and pound you into the ground, most priests will caius and they could heal you through it. If a mystic could pretty much do the same thing with Thrall of Protection, but if they explode the motes at that exact moment, they're pretty much alive. It's almost like they never took any damage at all. So yeah, exploding your motes and knowing when to do it is going to be another skill you're going to have to get used to as a mystic. But once you master that skill, you could keep almost anybody alive through almost anything.
Yeah. Alright, so now I think we're just at the point where we just kind of like talk about what to do in general, and like you want to do this in general sense, not necessarily, you know, small in-game dungeon specifics, but like in a general sense, and I'll be a good fucking test rat, I guess, because I don't know how to really play Mystic anyway. So just kind of like walk me through the stuff. Obviously, you're gonna have your basic debuff, and then your Contagion when he's enraged, and then I would assume you try to do your Thrall buffs when every enraged too.
Yeah, you want to put your Thrall buffs on every enrage as much as possible. But again, when you build up enough CDR, it's almost brain dead in essence. You could just keep spamming this shit off of cooldown and you will have both power buff and the crit power buff, Thrall of Wrath, up 100% throughout the entire fight. If you don't have that much CDR off the jump as a new mystic, you just prioritize keeping your Thrall of Wrath for the next enrage. So paying attention to the boss's enrage bar as a healer is going to benefit you just as much as it would a tank. The moment the boss's HP exit the enrage bar, it's going to be enraged for at the very next 10% of the boss's HP bar. If it ends at 78, it's going to come back 10% from that. So you have enough time to prepare your next buff cycle.
Yeah.
So what I would generally, sorry to cut you off, what I would generally do is if you cast your buffs and you got back the Thrall of Vengeance, which is your power buff, if you play it enough, you can kind of surmise how quickly you can get it back within a 10% HP of the boss being depleted, how fast you could get it back. Sometimes you could get 2 off in between there and have it right back in time for the next enrage, but most times you're going to get 1. So I'll just cast that one for the 10% where the DPS is doing their damage, and when my Thrall of Vengeance comes back and the boss is not enraged yet, I will not cast it because I will then keep it for the enrage because I know it's going to come. I have it in my head, like we're just a couple percentage away and my Thrall of Wrath is up, so they have both power and they have both crit power back at the same time.
Yeah, so you don't really use the big Apex Thrall because he doesn't actually give a buff. He's just kind of like damage, right? So like,
yeah,
you kind of use him on the non-enrage, don't you?
It depends. It depends on you and the group. If it's a really good group and y'all are score running, You could put it up while the DPS are burning, so it pushes the boss enrage bar further as well. Or you can use it after the enrage to help push that damage to the next enrage. It's not a great deal of damage, but it helps out. Like, it helps out a lot.
Yeah,
Or
for most new people, you're probably going to be looking at non-enrage though, right?
yeah, or what I like to do, I generally don't use it as much. I forget to use it most times. Sometimes it's helpful to keep it if you're not with like a super sweaty group, right? Like actually end game, and you're just pugging around low level dungeons. As a new healer, and there's like a shield mechanic or a DPS check, you could help contribute not just from just buffing alone, but you could drop that bad boy
Yeah,
and assist him breaking a shield or stuff like
I
that.
just thought about that too. Yeah. So there's that. What about? Now, obviously, your Thrall of Protection can be used as like a Kaya shield, kind of. And
Yeah, it's a
then,
poor man's car shield.
yeah. When do you when do you typically use Thrall of Life?
Um, On summon, it instantly heals and cleanses in the area of effect. It also grants a certain amount of MP back to the people within the affected AoE. Its uses are very versatile, actually. Um, with the ping that I play at, I have to scroll over people to cleanse them. And this holy trinity wheel that they decided to give healers, I don't care too much for it, right? If you access your cleanse menu from that, it will instantly lock on to everybody, right? But it is so incredibly cumbersome and stupid to use with high ping that you might as well just not fucking use that skill at all. So most times when I scroll over everybody real quick because I know somebody's about to get stunned, right? And I want to instantly cleanse them, sometimes when you do it too fast, you will miss one person. And unfortunately, that's usually the person that gets the stun, right? So when that happens, you could instantly cast your Troll of Life and cleanse or heal and cleanse the entire group just as the boss does whatever mechanic it's going to do because somebody got stunned, like in AHM. Somebody gets hit by the back stun and they were unfortunate not to be the person to get cleansed. Now I know the boss is going to spin and swipe at everybody. I will cast the Troll of Life right at that moment. So as soon as he spins and we take damage, we're instantly cleansed and we're literally almost back to full health.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a backup or a safety net for a failed cleanse or something like that. That's one use.
Yeah. You can use it as a mass heal and a mass cleanse as well when you don't have motes down, which is another thing you should not be doing as a mystic. You should always try to put out motes in between every skill or every other skill you use. When you debuff the boss, immediately drop a mote. You're not doing anything, you're not casting any auras, and you're just observing the fight to see who needs health. If your tank has to get a cleanse, you drop mote. And dropping motes willy-nilly is one thing, but you need to specifically try to put your motes in advantageous positions. Front, back of the boss, off to the side, because when you explode the motes, there's no rhyme or reason to what motes are going to be exploded. So it's within the area of effect when you cast the explosion. So you could explode all the motes in the back, and now you have nothing in the back to explode again, right? So positioning your motes is going to be a pivotal factor in you being a good mystic as well and exploding them. You'll see people pick up your motes and they'll eat them like a piece of candy. You know, it triggers me sometimes, but at the end of the day, they're just trying to survive, and it just means that you were too slow to heal them, so they felt the need to heal themselves, right? So at that point, just get a little bit faster, and it comes with time. Healing and automatically cleansing people instantly, it comes with time. When you get enough practice in a specific dungeon, you'll just be looking at the boss and you'll see certain mechanics happen and you know, okay, there's a chance somebody's going to get stunned here, or there's a chance somebody's going to get hit for a crap load of damage. You can casually walk out of the range of you taking said damage, scroll over the entire group with a heal or a cleanse, and the moment it happens, you heal and you cleanse. It's called precasting your healing and your cleansing skills. It's another advanced trick healers use at endgame.
Yeah. I don't know if you use... So, a long time ago I tried to set up Mystic, and the only two, like, Aurora buff kind of things I even have are Aurora the Merciless and the Tenacious. I don't even have the other two on my bar. Do you ever use the other two? I doubt you do, but I'm just checking because you're the Mystic player.
It's a toss-up right now. Some people like to have the crit resist aura on. I personally don't, right? Because my line of logic is if you are gonna get fucking hit by something that's going to kill you, you're gonna die either way. Like, reducing the crit chance isn't gonna do much in that way. And with people removing grounded etchings off of their chest and boot to stack more power or more crit, they're doubly even more squishier than they used to be. So putting on a crit resist aura is like meh. Like, if you were gonna die, you were gonna die. Like, just get good and not get hit.
Crit resist, in my opinion, is more of PvP.
Yeah, I see plenty mystics run it off and on, and yeah. When they encounter a lancer or a priest or a mystic that just eats through their entire fucking mana bar and they're getting spammed with I need mana, and it begins to annoy them, you know, they'll probably think twice about that. The Swift Aura, I used to use it from time to time, back when I used to be speedrunning in between bosses to increase our movement speed. Sometimes I would use it to run a certain mechanic. Like, back in the day, I haven't tried it in this current version of RK. I would swap that on for the saws on the second boss, so I'd be faster, and so would everybody else, so we could get in position quickly. And as soon as the mechanic is over, I put back on the aura that I had on previously. Like, it helps. Like, it helps a lot. But it's not needed, right? It's something extra you could do if you want to. Yeah. But it's not something that's required.
So
I have it on my bar, regardless, though.
I think I'll leave it off. I'm definitely not going to be taking this character into in-game, but in a general sense, you're probably going to be running Aura the Merciless and Tenacious together, and with some skill and practice, you can probably, you know, play around with Swift and or Unyielding, because we encourage everybody to try, you know, try new things. That's how you get better and learn new skills. But generally speaking, we're just going to go with Merciless and Tenacious for now. I mean, that's really it, other than, like, I mean, we could talk about regression and stuff, but there's really no point, because we're going to assume that people have read their skill description. So if you've done that, then you kind of know what these do. Are there any skills on Mystic that, like, don't exactly do what they say they do? Because that had a lot of cleaning up to do on Priest. That's where a lot of my time went, was explaining that kind of stuff.
Not that I know of, to be honest. If I'm being honest, I am bad at reading most tooltips, right? Like, especially after Apex, I just go off of what they used to do, and then when using it in a dungeon, I'm like, oh, okay, so this prevents that. Alright. You know, when I could have easily just read the tooltip and it would have told me that, but I see it in a dungeon and I'm like, ah, okay, that's what that does. Now I see. So, like, the Troll of Protection, it prevents knockback as well. I don't know if that's in the tooltip or not, if it says it or not, but casting a Troll of Protection will prevent knockback in addition to giving you that little mini shield that absorbs 30,000 damage or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, the warding totem puts up a little mini shield as well. I don't know how much it absorbs or how much it mitigates, but it's useful as well. First boss of AN, AH. I keep coming back to this dungeon because it's the only thing people seem to run these days. You can use that to mitigate the damage of the first boss when you target somebody and shoots them with the fire breath, laser, however you want to call it. And you don't have the luxury of a lancer giving you Iron Will, you can use that. You can also use the Troll of Protection for that as well. The first boss, another example, AN or H, when you have to group up and he does those little mini donuts under your feet. Is it that one? No, I'm thinking of something else. When he does the in-out or out-in mechanic that knocks you back, you can cast the Thrall of Protection and nobody will receive a knockback. It's the same thing like a priest. You do Kaya Shield, nobody will get knocked back. You could stack your heals on a Mystic. Yeah, Mystics can definitely out-heal priests, in my opinion, if done right and they have everything prepared. You kind of have to think of it like they're kind of like Batman, you know, with enough prep time they could beat just about anybody. Mystics are exactly like that. You just keep preparing for the next thing to happen when you're in a dungeon. Unlike a priest, you can sorta have that playstyle, but they're extremely good at being reactive. Like a priest is an excellent reactive healer. Something happens, bam, I'm doing it. Something happens, I'm on it. A mystic can do that to an extent, but they get punished so much harder. Their focus heal as a mystic does way more than a priest. Priest will almost never use that skill unless like they just need a little top up here and there. Or one of their big burst skills is off cooldown and that's the best they could do. You're almost always going to be using your focus heal. That shit hits for like 80k, 100k plus, right? So you're going to be healing most DPS for at least bare minimum half their health every single time. This is not including exploding the motes, using your warding totem that heals over time. I think it's what, 15 to 20, maybe 25k a tick. Depends how you spec your healer and how much gear you have. You get bonus stats on your healing.
Yeah.
Your Thrall of Protection. So you could pretty much have a group healed instantly because of your motes. A priest to an extent can't do that unless they crit some ginormous heals. You could explode your motes and your entire party could go from 1 HP to full HP.
Mm-hmm.
A priest would probably have to hit you like 2 skills to get that off.
Yeah. So, like, generally speaking, mystics have to plan ahead a lot more.
Yes. You have to constantly keep planning ahead in a dungeon. It's what's going to make or break you as a mystic, like a good mystic. Getting into the habit of every other skill, dropping a mote here and there, and paying attention to what the boss is doing, you're never going to be caught off guard. When you get caught off guard is when shit hits the fan as a mystic. Like you're gonna be struggling. Okay, I gotta do this. Okay, I gotta do. Oh crap, this just happened. Oh, he just went down. She just went down. I gotta grab this. Oh, the mechanic is happening. I gotta type this up.
Mm-hmm.
It gets scary very, very fast. A priest can recover from those situations easily because of their toolkit. Mystic, not so much. It benefits you more to plan ahead. Always plan ahead. Like
Yeah.
when I use my Thrall of Life and I know it's on cooldown and I don't have it back, and I know this boss is known for stunning people, I'm always going to be looking for the stun and locking on my entire group beforehand, because I know I don't have the safety net of my Thrall of Life to cleanse everybody. So that's, like I said, like just planning your steps out in advance. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. So, I mean, just a quick recap. Thralls and Contagion on every enrage. The Apex Thrall is situational. Your Thrall of Protection is like a mini discount Kaya shield. It's a little bit of a shield and prevents knockback, but don't rely on it too heavily. Your motes, put them in strategic places and use them wisely. Your warding totem, little bit of teeny tiny shield, like 10,000 HP shield, plus progressive healing. Your corruption ring, if Glyph, reduces damage you take by 50%. So if you know you're going to get hit, you might want to use this, maybe not. It's for you to decide. And really just kind of like planning ahead and watching, I guess.
Yeah, that's all it really is. Like boss knowledge and planning ahead is going to be very, very key. It goes for both healers as well, but more so
Yeah.
for mystics.
Yeah, healers, both priest and mystic, it's crucial that you not only learn the dungeon, but learn it to where you know what the boss is going to do before he does it. Like,
I will also add one other thing, and it goes for both healers as well. Maybe a little bit more so as a mystic. There are times where you'll have to make a decision whether to cleanse somebody or heal somebody. Somebody or some bodies. And 9 out of 10 times, it's going to benefit you more just to heal them through whatever they're going than to cleanse them, knowing fully well they're going to get something to put another action for you to cast another cleanse. It's another action that you're forced to do. So if it's easier to just heal somebody through something and cleanse them near the end of said mechanic or said action that the boss is going through, do that as opposed to I cleanse them, now I gotta heal. Oh crap, the bar is purple. I gotta cleanse them again. Let me explode the Mote. I gotta cleanse them again. Oh crap, I gotta focus heal again. Oh crap, I gotta cleanse again. You take out 4 actions from 4 cleansing just to heal, and near the end you cast a cleanse. The same principle like as a priest. I don't know if you touched on that on your priest video, but it's just another tip you could use. Sometimes it makes more sense just to heal somebody through it and cleanse them near the end.
yeah,
It's dependent on the mechanic.
I didn't. Yeah, it's definitely true. I don't think I mentioned that in my priest video, but that could also be chalked up to knowing dungeon specifics. If you know that that them being purple is not gonna make the boss do something else, then yeah, it definitely makes sense to just heal them.
Yep.
So I mean, it's just all experience. You'll get there eventually. You'll learn as you go. So I think that's it. I'll stop this here and see if I want to edit anywhere. But yeah, thank you for showing us this stuff, Trent.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Hide and seek, reason and rhyme, grand and glorious, living the dream.